It is 1 a.m. Saturday night here in Melbourne, Australia. Let's see what time that is back home. It is 8:30 in the morning on Saturday. Saturday morning. East Coast time. Still in Australia. Been here for 20 days now. But tomorrow, actually today, is the time to go home. We have just wrapped up the Monster Energy AUS-X Open Supercross, and this week's episode of the Racer X Exhaust podcast. We'll have the post-race press conference from the event. Now you might say, dude, post-race press conference, seriously? Weege, you're doing a press conference about that? A podcast with a press conference? But there is a theme here. There was a definite commentary from the riders that were in this press conference about the love of the sport and age and how the 30-plus generation in this sport is growing. I know there's this narrative out there that riders are retiring earlier than ever. Yeah, okay. Ryan Dungey, Ryan Villopoto, Ricky Carmichael, they retired early. You know why they retired early? Because they were winning all the time. And then they had put themselves in this impossible situation where they couldn't even finish third without it tarnishing their legacy or having every single person say, dude, what's wrong? I mean, I literally wrote a story saying, is there something wrong with Ryan Dungey after he got a couple of thirds in 2017? Because he wasn't as good as he was in 2016. He had set this impossible standard. For a lot of other riders, Chad Reed at the top of the list, Justin Brayton, and other riders that did well this year in both this race here in Australia or this season, Josh Hill, who retired and has come back and says he likes racing more than ever. Dan Reardon, who retired and came back, says he likes racing more than ever. The SX2 champion, 250 class here in Australia, is Chris Blose. He's 32. Says he likes racing now more than ever. There's all these 30-plus guys. Jason Anderson is now 26. Anderson said, I've grown up so much in the last year. My perspective on racing is totally different. And then he told Brayton he hopes to keep racing forever. And Anderson told me, by the way, 2 years ago, he was already contemplating retirement. All these guys have realized racing is fun. Racing can be fun. And nothing can give them that racing fix in any other way. So why not keep doing it? So while there's one story that's saying the riders are retiring early, I actually think we're seeing the majority going later than ever. And it starts at Reed, who enjoys this so much that even though he has finally come to grips that his time as a racer is coming to an end, Reed announced that this is the beginning of his farewell tour. His goal is to race all of Monster Energy Supercross in the U.S. in 2020, and then still do some off-season races like this for fun, kind of like how Ricky Carmichael shows up and does it. And then he'll go into some car racing as well. So he's got an exit plan. But even with that exit plan, and even with 249 starts, and even at his advanced age, it's still difficult for him to say, I'm done. I'm going to be done. And he cried multiple times this weekend, thinking about the idea that I won't be racing dirt bikes as my job anymore. It's just a fantastic perspective. So with the collection of riders that ended up in this post-race press conference, you're going to hear that perspective from several people, and I think that is worthy of a podcast. Except for one character in there who is just barely 16 years old, and that is Jett Lawrence. He came to the press conference, did an excellent job, got it up on the podium in the SX2 class here in his professional Supercross debut. And it's pretty cool also to hear some of the interactions he has had with Chad Reed as a youngster, a young bloke here in Australia, and what that's meant to his career. So I think you'll enjoy that too. So this is your post-race press conference, but really just some great perspective on the sport. This is, of course, all brought to you by the fine folks at Yoshimura. They bring you this podcast. Yoshimura exhaust system on Jett Lawrence's CRF 250R. They've also got all new exhaust, the RS12 system for Suzuki's 450 and 250 machines, and I got a feeling they're going to have them for a lot of other brands. So keep your eye on yoshimura-rd.com for the latest. Yeah, let's get you some action from Ozland. This is our post-race press conference for the Monster Energy AUS-X Open, making its debut here at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, Australia. We have a great cast of riders, podium riders, championship riders in both divisions. We'll start all the way at the end with Chad Reed. Just an incredible night. I know it was emotional for you just as the kickoff to what will be one final season as a full-time racer. That in and of itself is a story, but then as a racer, you really performed well. You mixed it up. You got hole shots. You led for a while. Just talk about the actual racing part. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think I didn't expect the emotion to hit me so hard, to be honest. You know, it's one thing to have the discussion, you know, behind closed doors with people, but you know, you were there yesterday when I did it, and you know that moment when you're, you know, like you're about to announce it to the world, it just come over me and like was so like unexpected. So yeah, to get through the weekend was tough, but yeah, as far as racing, I don't know. Track was tough for me. But I think it also made it a little bit easier because it wasn't as racy. You really couldn't race it. You just kind of had to get a good start and ride around and, you know, put the thing through the whoops, you know, straight. So for me, you did not go straight.
No, that's how I'm laughing for.
But yeah, I think overall, like I was pretty happy with my riding. If people knew how much I'd rode a dirt bike over the last 9 months, I think it would be pretty funny. But anyway, it's time to go back to the States, heal up, and prep for A1. So a part of me, you know, like when you come here and you make that announcement, like you want to do well, and it just like I was fighting my emotions on that side of it because, you know, I expected to come here and do well, and then kind of coming here knowing that you're just not prepared, and you're just going to try to, you know, drop the gates and rely on years and years of experience, and luckily I have a little more time than these guys.
In the TV booth, Ricky Carmichael's theory was, oh, maybe a weight's been lifted now that he's announced this and he's gotten through this, and that takes some pressure off. Did it make it harder or easier to ride after dealing with the emotions of the weekend?
A part of me, I think what comes with the announcement is, you know, like I'm happy, like what I've achieved, and I feel like, you know, I said it in my video, is when I look at Ricky Carmichael at 26 years old, I don't truly believe you know who you are at 26, you know, like there's so much living to do, and 3 children and a wife, and just living, you know, life to the fullest and traveling the world. I feel like I'm happy, you know, like if I win one more race, that'd be amazing. If I don't win another race, like I'm good, you know, like my stats don't lie. I think, you know, 200 and what, I don't even know what that'll be, 260 something, you know, races. Actually, I think it'll be closer to 270, you know, next year when I finish at Salt Lake City. So I just think that, yeah, like at the end of the day, I feel complete.
Okay. We'll move over to from one Australian to another. Okay.
A lot of races. Damn, I can't even count that high.
You got one now.
Yeah, I got one.
You got one.
They don't count that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're only counting 450 Premier Class starts of those 250 in American Supercross. Probably at 500.
Call me in 5 years when you start Supercross.
That's right. In the big class. So what was it like, Jett Lawrence racing in your first professional Supercross race? And it seemed like you got better in each of the 3 races. What was the experience like?
I had a blast. It was so much fun racing with the big boys. It's definitely a lot better than doing the amateurs. But yeah, it was sick racing. I had sketchy moments. I was definitely the Ronnie Mack out there. But yeah, it was insane. I think I was more scared than most of the guys that were either behind me or in front of me, basically. So I'm just happy I didn't really hit anyone when I was having those sketchy moments. But no, I had a blast. The track was so fun. It was really technical, slippery, so I was kind of made the passes a lot harder. So you had to stay on your mark a lot more. And yeah, it was just, I think, from what I started coming in thinking about and leaving now, I think it's definitely changed my mental a lot. Because yeah, I'm just, obviously Mitchell Oldenburg, he's one of the top 5 guys at in America for Supercross and that stuff. So I'm pretty pumped. I was actually able to run up with him and battle with him, so I'm pretty pumped with that. And yeah, just to race with these big boys. Congrats to Blose for the championship, and yeah, just everyone for the good racing.
Okay, you've been riding at a test track, but how different was it actually being in a race, big crowd, battling other riders? How different was it from what you've been doing the last couple of months to prepare for it?
Well, definitely in practice there wasn't as many sketchy moments, but no, obviously you can hear, like basically when you pass someone or someone crashes, you can hear the crowd roaring basically, and it was definitely a really sick feeling. I think I was really happy that I was able to come and do this and kind of get the weight off my shoulders. Otherwise, I think I would have been crapping myself a bit for A1. It's like pretty big race also. So this is really good to come do this in my home country also, kind of announce that. And it's definitely a whole lot different than practicing and then going to a race. And luckily I'm more of a racer, so I kind of felt a little bit more confident coming to this. So it's definitely a whole lot different. I think I prefer the racing than practice. So.
Last thing, we're making this connection, your first pro race, and Chad's announcing it's going to be his last year. But honestly, there's 21 years between you guys. You ever even bumped into each other until this weekend?
No, yeah.
A little bit here and there?
Yeah, I think the first time I actually met Chad was at Autobiano, and that day I actually won my first EMX race. So I was 14, so that was pretty cool. I remember that, and he actually messaged like us when I won 65. 2014, basically saying get out of Australia kind of thing and go to Europe and that. So big shout outs to him, and I never really would have thought that I'm making my pro debut as he kind of announcing that he's retiring, which is sad to kind of see a great person leave this sport, and obviously for Australia is a really big person, like a legend kind of thing. And I just got to thank him a lot. So to be honest, I wouldn't really be where I am now without him. So for that kind of message he did, it's kind of changed my whole life in the sport and that stuff. So big shout out to him. And it's real sad to see a great go, but hey, it's their decision. So hopefully I can see more at the races and that stuff. But just
Excellent. Okay. Right on. There's Jett Lawrence, everybody. You can clap if you want. There you go. Jason Anderson, you're the FIM Oceania champion. But you did not defend the Monster Energy AUS-X Open race win from a year ago. Talk about how the night went. That first one was tough on you.
Yeah, the first race I got up to a start and then had a fall, but was able to come back up. Got up to like 7th or something like that. And honestly, just the track was tough. Like if you weren't up front, it was hard to anytime you tried to get speed out of the track, it was so slick. And I was able to win the second too. But all in all, I had a good time racing, and was able to get second tonight behind JBE and get that Oceania championship, and it was a good night. I had fun.
All right, you all good? But Chad put a pass on you in that first one. Is it all good?
Crashed.
Yeah.
We're almost even.
Yeah, we've had our fair share, but at the end of the day, I don't really get too fired up. I mean, I'm sure if I was a younger me, I'd have been fired up and stuff like that. But we all get the bat into the stick sometimes, and we're all on the other side of it. So, I like Chad says, he says Ricky retired at 26, and there's a lot you learn, and I don't think you know who you are and stuff like that. And for me, the age, I'm 26 right now, and I feel like a lot has changed for me over the past year, going from winning a championship to having injuries and stuff like that. And I feel like for me, win or lose or, get a tire tap and stuff like that, I just enjoy racing. And I think that's a part that has changed for me over the year, that I've, no matter what, win or lose, I'm just going to keep trying my butt off and enjoying it. So, maybe if it was a couple years ago, I'd have probably been fired up. But right now, I'm just enjoying it and having a good time, and going to keep trying my butt off and trying to achieve my goals.
Anything you gained here this weekend that can help you in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, every time you come over to these races, I think it's good to be good on every condition. I think this year I've raced so many different conditions. I've been racing Supercross at the beginning of the year, and then I ended up going to racing outdoors in U.S., going to Europe and riding there, and now I'm here in Australia racing Supercross. So I'm just trying to be learn from every experience and stuff like that. And tonight I think obviously racecraft, riding slick conditions. These 2 rounds have been slick as can be. I'm from the West Coast, and I grew up riding slick conditions, and honestly this was one of the gnarlier ones I've ever ridden. So I feel like it's been good for me.
All right, that's Jason Anderson, your FIM Oceania champion. We're going to save the 2 champs for last, so I'll send it down to Dan here on the end, and then we'll get to our 2 class champions. Dan Reardon, you had a crash there in the heat. You had to work for it. Made LCQ night for you. So pretty rough. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, I was banged up pretty bad. Like other boys have explained, the track was really slippery, and I didn't even know I was crashing. And next minute I was laying on the ground, and it's kind of hard. I really enjoy having these guys here, and I think it's great for the sport in Australia. And I'm an advocate for Australian Supercross. I want to see more of it. I want to see more people here. Some of the US guys come out, and it's great. They really do lift up this sport. It makes our job definitely a lot harder, because we're sort of battling through our own little championship as well. But hats off to the guys for making it happen and actually want to come and race in Australia.
Cool. And the racing, how'd it go for you in your motos?
Yeah, like Jason explained, like going down and going to the LCQ, I didn't really have the best gate choices, and so my starts weren't great. And you're just trying to make up time, and the track had a speed. You really only had a limit around some of those turns, and you try too hard, you end up on the ground again. So it was just one of those nights. I still enjoy it. It doesn't matter really the result. I know it sucks to crash, but at the end of the day, I kind of leave with a smile on my face. I try to step away for a bit, and practicing is just not the same. There's something about racing. There's something about those feelings and the anxiousness and everything that comes along with it. And you can't explain it to people if they don't do it. And for me, it's just something that I just want to continue to do for as long as I can.
Okay, awesome, Dan. And same thing, really, for you, Josh Hill. At one point, you weren't a racer. You're back, and you're really fast. You got to the podium here, and you were in the mix the entire time. Take me through the night.
Yeah, it was fun. The track was it was challenging. They couldn't let a dozer on the stadium floor, so the dirt I think is amazing, but they couldn't break it up and chew it up and make it just resurface it. So it just kept getting harder and harder, and it was really slick, and you had to take your time and kind of just be real smooth through it. But it was an awesome race. I think this is probably one of the coolest Supercrosses I've ever seen. This side of the globe, or pretty much anywhere other than the United States or Canada. I mean, it's awesome. So for me, it was killer to be here. It's awesome to be back in the mix, and yeah, it's just the start of the Josh Hill World Domination Tour.
Yes, what is next on your agenda? We know what it is for most of these riders, but what is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to take over slowly and just do cool stuff that nobody wants to do, and just come in, show up, beat everybody at races, and just mess around.
Okay.
I'm just happy to be here. It's a blast. And I drank a bottle of champagne after I got done. I haven't drank in a while, so feel loose.
Oh, okay. All right. Might be more of that. All right, that's Josh Hill.
Thank you. CDR Yamaha is the best team ever.
It's not that play anyway.
Podium for Josh Hill. Let's go to our champion of the SX2 division, Chris Blose. I was talking to you earlier. You've been through these championship situations up and down throughout your career. Did that pay off? Did that experience help tonight? Because you performed when you needed to.
Yeah, definitely. It's I've obviously through arena cross and stuff like that. I was in the championship hunt multiple times and got the bad end of the stick pretty much every time. And I think it teaches you a lot. And being 31 now, almost 32 in a couple of weeks, you kind of find yourself. And like I told you earlier, coming into this race, I was as calm as could be. I knew what I had to do, and we got the job done.
You've been through ups and downs. You've had good teams. You've had no ride and made it happen as a privateer. Went to arena cross, came here. What keeps you going at 32? What keeps you digging to get results like this?
I think just the love of riding. Like Reardon said, like there's no other feeling than coming to the races and having that huge crowd and hearing the cheers and the gate drops and just the want to be better and the want to win. I think we all have that, and even at an older age, I mean, Chad's still out here racing. I mean, it's pretty unreal that I think the sport is changing with older riders, and yeah, it's just the love of riding and wanting to win.
Awesome. And for you, as a career accomplishment, where does this rank?
Definitely ranks up there for sure. Probably one of the top ones. I've been so close to having championships, whether it's arena cross or whatever the case may be. It always fell short. So to get this one, it felt good, and yeah, pumped out the #1 plate now.
All right. That's Chris Blose, our NCT champ. And of the same team, the Penrite Honda team, now 4-time champ of the Australian Series is Justin Brayton, but a lot different this year, the road you had to go through to get it. You said you actually like being in that position, kind of having to gain some points in the final race. Were you telling yourself that to pump yourself up, or was it really true? What's the truth now that you look back at it?
Yeah, both situations are tough because, especially when you have a gap, you know, between the second to last round and the last round. Previously, I've had pretty big points leads where you kind of just want to hang out and not really ride much, and it's hard to stay in that normal routine. Where this time, I knew what I had to do. So the past 2 weeks was full forward focus and full steam ahead. So. And I came in here, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure, but also I was happy to be in that situation after the second round. I had a decent, it was actually a little crash, but ended up being some decent injuries where I broke 4 ribs. So right there sitting in the hospital, I was like, all right, do I just go home? And thankfully it was during a couple-week break. So showing up to round 3, I honestly didn't know. I didn't know if I'd be able to ride, so I tried to ride press, and it was actually not terrible. And so, yeah, like right then I was like, okay, if I can just have a shot at the last round, I just want to have a chance. I don't know if it's 10 points down or 1 point down or what. So that's what kind of shed some pressure off of me was, hey, I'm happy to even be in this situation. And one of my big goals this year was to win AUS-X Open. I've been so close a few times and just have never been able to close the deal. And a lot of it's because just you're tiptoeing around the last round, like you're like, all right, I need to get a 5th or whatever, so you just kind of ride around, and I hate doing that. Like you're just, yeah. So, yeah, it was good to execute the night and get good starts, and it was fun.
For any athlete to come into a must-win situation and then do it, win the race, win the title, that's like everybody's dream. So does this mean more than the other titles because you're able to do it in this fashion?
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, it for sure does, especially with how much I've had to talk about it the past 2 weeks. Like, I was just so sick of talking about it. I was telling people that this week. I'm like, hey, this guy wants to do an interview with you. Like, I'm so sick of talking about it. I just want to race, you know? And even friends and families calling and this and that. So, yeah, I couldn't wait to get behind the gate and to finally get it done and to finally win AUS-X Open, and like I said, that was the main goal. So with that goal, you win the championship as well. So happy to win both.
And just real quick, the race's clout went down early. I don't know if you saw that. Did you know exactly all the scenarios that were going down as far as the championship is concerned?
Yeah, he went down because he came in pretty hard on me, and I got to see him crash, and yeah, I just kind of knew. All right, I didn't know what position he got, and I really didn't even care. I just wanted to focus. Okay, I won the first one. Now, if I can win or get really small points this next one, that sets me up really good for the third one. But I didn't want to be cautious because I knew I might crash in the third one and get a 10th or something. So I wanted to be pretty aggressive. But I knew Jason had good pace. I'm like, okay, a 1-2 going into the last round. The last one was I was pretty happy with that, and definitely took some pressure off.
You want to comment on being an older racer like everyone except this guy?
It's just normal now. It's just normal now. 30 plus. Yeah.
That's Supercross.
Yeah.
30 plus Supercross. Hey, I feel like if we did a 30 plus Supercross, the 20 plus might not be able to beat us. I mean,
That's fair.
I think Reedy, let's do that.
I think Brady would come out of retirement.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's fun being older. I mean, like, we talk about it all the time, and Chad would get that question more than me, where now that he's done, I'll get the question all the time because now I'm the oldest. And yeah, you enjoy it more. It's the cliche things, you know, you find yourself, I mean, Jason and I were just talking, he wants to race for as long as he can, and it's not like the typical thing of, and Jason's probably made enough money, he could be fine right now if he wanted at 26, but it's just the passion for it. And then you retire at 26, and then what? Like, that's the thing that I always think about. Like, if I could choose anything in the world to do next week, I want to put my gear on and go ride. So why not do it at the highest level and still have opportunities to make good money and travel the world? And so I couldn't imagine myself being done at 26 and then just kind of like, sit around and twiddle my thumbs. So, yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. I'll do it for as long as I can.
All right, any questions? We're good. Thanks, guys.